Hi everyone and welcome to our Thursday TNT. Please, if you get a quick moment, subscribe to the channel. I have to say that. And a quick warning that we are going to be talking about the topic of sex during today's program. Also, I do need to also clarify, I made a comment yesterday about an article which was clearly written by ChatGPT, and I really didn't want to single out that particular organization. It was an article written by ASEANnow.com. Now, there are plenty of other aggregators who are also using ChatGPT, some of them almost exclusively. I had noticed yesterday of one organization which has employed people to churn out 200 articles a day, which will be largely written or mostly written, well, basically completely written by ChatGPT. So look, it's happening around the world, and it's not necessarily a criticism. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to do because ChatGPT will rewrite articles, well, fairly well, given that you're not asking it to come up with information, you're just asking it to regurgitate the information and spit it out the other end. The thing is, I think it just needs to be put in the author section about who's actually been writing it. If it is ChatGPT, well, I just think we deserve to know. Now, this is a bit of an update on a story that a lot of you have been quite interested in. And this version of the story covered by the independent.co.uk. Look at me in the eyes. Heartbroken father of British boy confronts man who confessed to his murder in Thailand. A convicted criminal involved in drug dealing has confessed to killing a British teenager whose body was found badly beaten in a forest in Thailand, local police have said. Now, a lot of commenters have been spending time in our comments section discussing the nationality of the boy and claiming, probably rightly so, that if he didn't have a British father, that the British tabloids probably wouldn't be covering the story. And you're probably right. But let's move on. Warramet Ben Tauta was beaten to death after he went missing from his home in Lampang. On Tuesday, Ben's father was taken to the scene of the death where he confronted the accused. Local media report that Mr. Graham yelled at the killer, "Take his mask off, I want to see his face, you're a coward." He went on, "Scum, look at me in the eye, look at me in the eye, you bastard." And the 16-year-old dual national known to his family as Ben was found dead in a grove in the Bantan district on Sunday morning, having sustained blunt force trauma injuries to his face and head. Investigators have arrested a 44-year-old after finding Ben's body. He's been known to the victim for a long time apparently and was released from prison 8 months ago. He confessed to killing the victim after a drug deal went wrong and has been charged with murder according to Thai media. And police searched for Ben's girlfriend Yam, also 16, thought to have been one of the last people to see him alive. She was found safe and has been ruled out as a person of interest in the case by police. But police are also seeking a girl, another 16-year-old, who officers believe was also romantically linked to the British teenager. So I'm not sure if this is the same 16-year-old which was alluded to in yesterday's story, but it seems there is more to this story, and that's the latest that we know from the independent.co.uk. Now, a follow-up to a story from last year, and the Bangkok Post reporting that 2 given suspended jail terms over death of actress Tangmo. And this was probably by far the biggest social media story last year. It was doing the rounds for months and months after this actress and influencer Tangmo fell off a boat in the Chao Phraya River. The story says that the Nonthaburi provincial courts given 2 defendants in the drowning death of actress Tangmo suspended jail sentences and ordered them to perform public service, and the 37-year-old Tangmo fell into the Chao Phraya River from a speedboat near Nonthaburi on the night of February the 24th last year. Her body was found 2 days later, and public prosecutors initially indicted 6 suspects in one case, and they've been named there in the Bangkok Post report, on March the 2nd during a court hearing to examine the evidence of the 6 cases. Speedboat owner Tanupat confessed to a charge of recklessness causing death, and a gentleman called Pai Boon confessed to operating the boat without a licence. So it looks like the curtains come down on the Tangmo story, and the legal process has come to some sort of conclusion. You're watching TNT. Thursday morning from my living room here in Phuket. A steamy morning indeed. We're meant to have cyclones and storm warnings. It doesn't look anything like that. It's just a picture-perfect day out there today. Blue skies and light winds. Doesn't get better, really. Let's go to our next story. Thai PBS World. Thai senator decries US Senate's draft resolution on Thailand. And a Thai senator has alleged that there's a conspiracy involving members of a Thai non-governmental organisation behind a draft resolution in the US Senate calling for an abrogation of Article 12. That's the Lese Majeste law. That's the one about the defamation of the royal family or the monarch, and opposing possible military intervention in Thai politics. The draft resolution submitted recently to the US Senate on Foreign Relations states that direct or indirect military or royal intervention would undermine US-Thai relations and endanger US economic and security assistance to Thailand. A bit of finger waving and, well, an open threat in the lead up to the election this Sunday. The draft, co-sponsored by 2 US Democrat senators, calls on Thailand to protect and uphold democracy, human rights, the rule of law, and rights to freedom of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. It also urges the Thai government to create conditions for credible and fair elections while enabling media, journalists and members of civil society to exercise freedoms of expression, peaceful assembly and association without repercussion and fear of prosecution. Now, I do have a story at the end of the program about just that, but let's move on with this story. Thai PBS World reporting that while urging the Thai government to immediately and unconditionally release and drop charges against political activists, it also calls for an abrogation of what it describes as Thailand's overbroad and vague Lese Majeste law and the Computer-Related Crime Act. The draft warns of consequences in the event of undemocratic intervention either before or after the election. Now, that's an open threat in a hearing in the US Senate, and it deserved a response, and this is part of the response. Senator Somchai, a staunch royalist, pointed his finger at some Thai non-governmental organisations funded by the National Endowment for Democracy, a US grant-making foundation promoting democracy abroad, for allegedly conspiring with American politicians and officials to undermine Thailand's political stability and sow discord amongst Thai people. Somchai also described the draft resolution, which is not legally binding, as an interference in Thailand's domestic affairs. Well, it will be interesting to see, and we're only 3 or 4 days away from the general election on Sunday, if these comments in the story generally gets much airing in Thai media, are quite serious comments and threats, especially when they've got the moniker of the US Senate stamped on them. Let's move on to our next story today, and it's reported by the PatiaNews.com. Future of Thai sex workers relies on election, and Thailand's sex workers are optimistic that a new government after the May 14 election will pass legislation that helps to decriminalise the country's thriving sex industry, which provides livelihoods to an estimated 300,000 people unofficially. Well, that's part of the problem, really. The whole industry is unofficial, so proper statistics are very hard to gather. The story goes on saying that a new law has been drafted following lengthy consultations to bring the sector out of the country's informal and abusive grey economy into the formal economy with full rights for female, male and transgender sex workers. The proposed law aims to replace the existing Prevention and Suppression of Prostitution Act, which criminalised sex work when promulgated back in 1996. And a sex worker for 20 years says this is to end our work in the dark business and will mean we can stop running away from the police. And further down that paragraph, this would also mean sex workers could legally collect government benefits such as social security and be eligible for public health care as well as other advantages. And of course, they'll have to pay tax. And it looks like the story's been partially rewritten from Nikkei Asia. The latest attempt to reposition the sex industry has gone further than previous efforts, which were staunchly opposed by groups advocating for family values and religion. These groups, however, have now mostly agreed that an approach to criminalise or ban prostitution has largely failed, and attempts to continue to deny the industry exists is futile. The proposed law recognises the need for registered places that provide sex work services. Now, it's not just the sex workers, it's of course the people that use these workers and pay them for their services. Everybody at the moment's operating in an illegal environment, and bringing it out into the open and making it above board really is there to help everyone. Let's go further into the story. It says, despite its high visibility, the sex industry has remained informal and criminal, ranging from the red light go-go bar strips popular with foreign tourists to the massive massage parlours frequented mostly by local men. Pattaya is often seen as an informal capital for the adult industry, a fact that's made many officials uncomfortable and reluctant to discuss the elephant in the room. And according to Empower and various Thai foreign researchers, there are between 250 and 300,000 sex workers in the country, placing it in the 8th position globally. So as we said earlier, those figures are unofficial, and whoever gets into government, I think it's fairly sure that before the end of the year that there will be a change in the laws relating to prostitution and sex work in Thailand. It's our Thursday TNT program. Thank you for dropping in. We go now to the Bangkok Post, and 9 demonstrators arrested after police station May. 9 people were arrested after a violent confrontation outside a Bangkok police station between police and a group that had gathered in support of a 15-year-old who'd been detained for more than 40 days on a royal defamation charge. 15 years old. The 7 men and 2 women arrested included Tawan and Bam, who earlier this year staged a 52-day hunger strike to press for the release of political prisoners and the abolition of Section 112 of the Criminal Code, the Lese Majeste law. And after demonstrators waited in vain for 2 hours, they splashed and sprayed red paint on the walls and steps of the station, police vehicles and a poster with a picture of the National Police Chief. A demonstrator also broke a glass door at the station. About 50 crowd control policemen were deployed to control the situation. Officers with riot shields assembled and a standoff ensued before some pushing and shoving led to a melee. 9 people were taken away, some dragged by their arms and legs in 3 separate police vehicles. They were being held at 3 different police stations, according to late reports. And people convicted of Lese Majeste can be sentenced to between 3 and 15 years in jail. Sentences for multiple offences can be compounded. According to data, this year some 1,902 people have been prosecuted for political participation and expression since the beginning of the Free Youth pro-democracy protests in July 2020. Well, a lot of Thai social media seems to be taking the side of the protesters in this case, especially when it surrounds a 15-year-old who's been held in detention for so long with one of these Lese Majeste charges. To our final story now, and I'm not really sure where to start on this one. I suppose the best place is here. It's covered by Coconuts Bangkok on coconuts.co, and, well, it's the headline, isn't it? Vigilant Thai park officials on lookout for more sex after couple's truck rut. I just know that this story is going to be covered in some international media looking for crazy headlines. Let's find out what's going on. Park officials expressed their disapproval and called for legal action today against a young couple who celebrated their love at a remote beach in the south of Thailand after photos of their hip-to-hip action spread online. The chief of the Hat Chow Mai National Park and other sweaty park officials carefully studied a photo of the couple's truck bed sex romp to confirm they did the deed at Chiang Lang Beach. Down the bottom there, the park officials rushed to the location, but only found some personal belongings, including a pair of discarded shoes. Yeah, I'm sure this is the most important issue at their national park. In response, the park chief said he would deploy personnel to closely watch the area in case anyone else came along to play hide the mango. He threatened strict legal measures would be taken against future offenders. He added that all activities within the park must be conducted in accordance with laws and regulations, not hormones. I'm just betting if you go to the rules and regulations about that national park that there's nothing about that you can't have sex, as just these two have got a bit of social media attention and the park thinks, oh, that's going to ruin our reputation at the national park. Good heavens. Well, there you go. That's from coconuts.co, and well-written story there. Thank you for watching today. Hopefully you're a little bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. And we've only got another 2 or 3 days before the election. And then we're probably going to have weeks and weeks of analysis. And there'll be horse trading and many phone calls as many of the politicians try and cobble together some sort of government for a new parliament. Now, just remember that on Sunday, well, from Saturday night at 6 p.m, until Sunday at 6 p.m, there's going to be an alcohol ban. You know the story, so just be aware of that. Thanks for watching otherwise. Big thanks to our sponsors, 5 Star Marine. There's a link in the description in this video. And as I mentioned, in a few more days, we'll have a link that will take you to a special discount for TNT viewers. Thanks for watching today. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.